It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Well, folks, he's back in town and always stops by the Sam Lesante Show. However, a lot of good information he brings with him, and is doing so much for the greater Hazleton area. Not only for greater Hazleton, for the entire country, and I'll tell you why in a minute. My guest, Joe Maddon. And you know who he is, folks. He's the Chicago Cub manager. I give him as much help as I can throughout the year. I give him as much as I can. And he listened this year. Also joining him on the show, no stranger to the show, Bob Curry, who is the founding president of HIP. Joseph, thanks for coming on the show.
Always listen to my elders.
You know, it's amazing. You know, I tell you, you remind me of my buddy Jack Palance. You know, Jack was like a second father to me, and he, you know, we worked for 32 years together, and Jack was like you. He was always proud of the area he came from, always spoke about the area he came from, always promoted the area he came from. I remember having meetings with Sony and HBO in California, and when the president would come and say, "Well, Jack, I'm from Latimer Mines. I'm from Latimer Mines, right across from Partysville, where Sam was born and raised," and always so proud of his town. And I think you share that all the time, don't you, Joseph?
Oh, I do. I mean, I am very proud of Hazleton, where we're from. Believe me, everybody knows where Hazleton is now, and always drawn to be back here, coming back for a particular Hazleton Integration Project week that we have going on starting tonight. Actually, we have a baseball clinic down at our center. Then tomorrow we have a fireside chat with Rick Sutcliffe and Tim Kirkchin. Then Friday night we have a banquet with Manny Ramirez. Eddie Too Tall Jones will be in town, and some others. Saturday we have Hazleton's Got Talent up at the junior high school. Is it? No, is it junior high school? Wiltsey Center. And then on Sunday we have our Thanksmas luncheon at our cafeteria at HIP on 4th Street. So listen, man, I do love being back here. I love what I've seen going on. I mean, just driving down Broad Street, nice? Quite a difference just in the appearance.
So really you're doing nothing when you come back here, right, Joe?
Well, you know, it's, you know, what you do is I look forward to it. I really do. The biggest thing is just preparing yourself mentally in advance to get all this stuff done. Like I said, you're seeing the fruits of your labor right now. Listen, I'm just a small part of this. Bob and the group that is boots on the ground on a daily basis down at the center and within the city itself. Those are the folks that are getting all this stuff done. I'm just lending my name to it. Right now, you know, I'm able to bring some people in town. That's wonderful, but it's about the day-to-day grind of doing something that makes it work or not work. And Bob, Elaine, my sister Carmine, and the whole group here, man, all these folks are getting it done.
Before we get to HIP, which is we have a lot to talk about that, I want to talk about your Chicago Cubs. I'm sure the home office must be very pleased with you because you've done wonders with that club.
Well, we have it's a pretty interesting situation regarding ownership. The Ricketts family, fantastic. Front office with Theo Epstein and Jed Hoyer, unbelievable. And then I walked in, and there's already this wonderful group of young players. Chris Bryant, Addison Russell, et cetera, Anthony Rizzo, all the group, Schwarber, they're already there, Arrieta. It's unusual that you as a manager are able to walk in a situation with all these built-in good things. When I went to the Rays originally, there was a lot of that stuff to be built, and the line I use often is that all the heavy lifting was done by the time I got to the Cubs, so a lot of credit goes to these guys. I have a wonderful coaching staff. And then beyond that, to live in the city of Chicago, it's a pretty spectacular place to live. The fan base, the Cub fans are wonderful, man. Their support has been incredible. I walk into Wrigley Field on a daily basis, and I look up and I say, thank you. It's just different. It's absolutely different. So at this particular juncture in my life, my career, to be given this kind of an opportunity, I'm very, very fortunate.
Where do you think you go now, Joe?
Oh, hopefully to the World Series soon.
If you listen to me, Joe, you'll go there.
I'm listening. We just signed Johnny Lackey. We signed Ben Zobrist, and we just signed Jason Hayward to augment an already good group. So the pitching's in good order right now. The bullpen's in good order. The team on the field is really young and exciting. And look, what I tell people, and this is the truth, there's not been an entitlement program there, and everybody is highly accountable for their own actions. So my players, as young guys, are different. You got to be in a locker room to really see it and feel it. The veterans that support this group, off the charts. David Ross is one of the best veteran players I've ever been around. David Ross will be a major league manager someday in the near future. So again, I could go on and on. I mean, I bring whatever I bring to the table, but I walked into a pretty good situation.
You were always a stickler, as well as I am for many, many years, as a motivation. There's different areas that I think people bring, whether it's a business, whether it's managing a baseball team or football team or whatever. Motivation is very important, okay? And do you still, I'm a stupid question, but I'm sure you still keep your people motivated.
You got to bring the energy every day, and a lot of that just comes through building relationships with people. And then once you've done that and you get to the ballpark, you have to create an atmosphere. It's got to be fun. It's got to be fun. If it's not, you can't tell me one thing that you've done well in your life that you didn't have fun doing whatever that item might be. So I want our guys to have fun. I want them to work hard. I want them to understand, exactly what's going on around them, stay in the present tense. We win hard for 30 minutes. We lose hard for 30 minutes. Do we advance to the next day? The slogan I've come up with is to do simple better. We're about simplicity, and I think the more simple you could keep a concept or a situation or organization, the better chance of success you're going to have. So all these things, those are the kind of things I try to bring to the table on a daily basis, and it works. I mean, when I went in there last year, I did a lot of this stuff intentionally based on things that I had learned. I mean, sometimes you do things because you just think it's the right thing to do, and a lot of it might be instinctive, but a lot of the stuff I did last year in Chicago was learned. There's some organic moments, there's no question about it, but I went into it specifically with different thoughts, like I said, to build relationships being number one and establishing trust. That was the number 1 and 2 priorities on my list, and it seemed to have worked out well.
The challenges that you face right now, okay, are there any major challenges that you're seeing for next year?
Well, the bigger target on our back. People talk about pressure, and the phrase I like to utilize is never permit the pressure to exceed the pleasure of the moment. We're going to have a bigger target on our back next year because of what we had done, winning 97 games, beating the Cardinals in the playoffs. And the phrase this year is to embrace the target. I want us to embrace the pressure. I really have a hard time. I mean, expectations and pressure are two words to me that have positive definitions and connotations. I think too many times people run away from pressure or expectations. I think you should run towards those words because normally that means potentially there's something good that's going to happen on the other side. So when I go to spring training this year, I promise you the first salvo, the first conversation I have with our players is going to be to embrace expectations and pressure.
What motivates you, Joe?
Well, I had my uniform taken away from me one time in 1979 when I was released by or 78 by the California Angels, and I swore if I ever had a chance to wear a uniform again, they would have to take it off my back, kicking and screaming. I never want perspective to be sent my way. I want to have perspective in advance of the moment. I want to understand what's going on. A lot of that is I think humility and being grateful are a big part of not getting ahead of yourself. So I could tell you in 1978, getting a letter in the mail being released from the California Angels, and I told myself after that, if you're going to take this uniform away from me, you're going to have to really beat me up to get it off my back. So that really served as strong motivation.
Now, I was talking about you have a restaurant in Tampa, and what's the name of the restaurant?
Ava, 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 it's Inspirato Italiano. We're voted #1 in Tampa. We have the best pizza. The oven comes from Italy. It's an Acunto oven from Naples, Italy. Our pizzas cook in like 90 seconds. They're spectacular. Our chefs, we have 2 executive chefs that are wonderful. You get the best ribeye, the best pork belly. You get some fresh fish. You can get homemade pasta. Pasta's made every morning in the back room. It's spectacular. Honestly, I mean that sincerely. So whenever you're down in the Tampa area, let me know. You have to call for reservations. It gets kind of busy.
Janine, get the invoice and charge him for this commercial, okay,
Thank
please.
you.
It's only $500, Janine. It's
well worth it.
Well worth it. No, I have a couple of friends who live in Orlando. Okay, they really travel down to your restaurant. Okay, I meant to tell you. I forgot the name of it. Okay, and your wife's involved with some things.
My wife Jay, has started her new boxing and fitness down in the Tampa area. It's called Epic Boxing and Fitness. I'm here to tell you it's going really well. She's going to open up a new one, hopefully soon in West Chase, which is a little bit of a suburb of Tampa. There's been interest to have it franchised, Florida and even in Chicago. I mean, I'm really proud of her. She's doing a wonderful job with all of this. It's all on her own. I have nothing to do with it. And on top of that, I mean, she's a client, and what she's done for herself is pretty spectacular. she's in as good a shape as she's been in her life, and she's never looked better. And it's all a big part of it is due to the fact that she's participating in her own gym.
Well, it looks like you're really on.
I'm very lucky.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the harder you work, the luckier you become. When we come back, folks, a person said this once, and I'm going to talk to that person. We are a country of different cultures that are continually evolving into a single people that has always been the American way. And it is our greatest strength as a nation. I am confident that as long as we are willing to work together, we will continue to build our city into a model community that will inspire a deep sense of pride in all of our citizens. We'll come back, we'll discuss that and what the great things that are happening in Greater Hazleton area that have become a national model. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show. Folks, remember 24/7, SSPTV.com. You can watch all of our shows. And remember, we're now HD, so we got 2 channels for you. Channel 13 and Channel 513 in the Service Electric Cable area. Comcast still 190, Wilkes-Barre still 92, and all our friends in the Harrisburg area, we welcome you on the Sam Lesante Show. My email, sam@ssptv.com. My guest today, Joe Maddon, Chicago Cubs manager, and joining him today is a good friend of ours, Bob Curry. Bob is the founding president of HIP. Now, for those of you in the Harrisburg area, it's Hazleton Integration Project. Bob, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks so much for having us.
It's always a pleasure, Bob.
It's always a pleasure to come here as well.
Bob, you're HIP. I don't know what to say, because as I read this quote before I left, and of course that's what you said, Joseph. I guess you knew that, right?
Mm-hmm. I said that?
Yes, you
I thought
did.
Bob said that.
No, you said that.
Really? I thought
you said that.
I didn't realize I was that eloquent.
Well, you did a pretty good job here, Joe. You see, you listen to me, Joe, and you're
No, I really thought Bob had said that.
No,
I did.
you
I
said
swear to
that.
God.
That's
Okay.
Joe Maddon.
Okay.
However, Bob has said a lot of other great things. Bob, a review of what HIP is, where are we going, how much we've accomplished. I mean, it's leaps and bounds. I know I could give you 4 hours, and you still could.
It is. And leaps and bounds is almost an understatement. When we opened our doors, we just had no idea what we were about to experience, and it's been remarkable, extraordinary growth. We were led to believe, we had contacted some of the other centers, and they had said things like, well, if you can get 400 or 500 people on a weekly basis coming through your doors, you qualify for some kinds of funding, and so that should be your goal. And we talked about community outreach and how to get there. But from day one, we had, I think the first week we had 1,800 people coming through. And now we have well over 2,000 on a weekly basis. Wow. And it's not just people walking through the door and saying hi and hello, it's what they're doing there. And that's what the extraordinary story is. I mean, Joe's very modest. He says, oh, I bring these events here. But those events are critical because we can't do that day-to-day grind, as Joe says, without having the funding, the sustainability. So what Joe does is critically important to our community, and I want to make that known. But as far as what we do, right now we have an after-school program which is a unique and it is a model for other after-school programs. We've partnered with Penn State University and we've developed our own kind of enrichment curriculum, and we've got about 100 kids and a 94% attendance rate. 94% remarkable. From September to today.
Wow, remarkable.
And then, of course, our new gymnasium, which is spectacular. We owe the Ripken Foundation, we're unveiling that tonight. We've turned the whole facility into an indoor baseball facility, which we have the capability of doing that. How wonderful is that for the people in Hazleton? Mm-hmm. And then we have a daycare, which is terrific. And beyond that, we have all kinds of events going on throughout the year. And it really is a model. We're so proud and humbled by the participation. And a lot of what we talked about when we first came here, a lot of that negativity that was swirling around what we were doing, all those people saying, it's another giveaway. What are you doing it for those people? There are fewer and fewer, I am happy to report, because a lot of what we do now is embraced.
Bob, it was the same thing with downtown Hazleton. When we started with the Hayden started, it was we had the naysayers and we're not going to do this one. And the people who are positive, like you and the Haydens and the D'Angelos and my family, the Lesante, we just said, look, we're going forward here, okay? And look at the success, that HIP has done and the wonders, the dividends that are coming from those kids, going to their families, and what it means for the community, I don't think people really understand that. Wouldn't you think so, Joseph?
I'm telling you, man, I was talking to, we have a Chicago station covering us right now, and one of the things I really want people to understand, for any detractors that may be left, I challenge any of you people to come into our center for 5 minutes and meet our kids. Just meet our kids for 5 minutes, and you can meet any kid in that building for 5 minutes, 2 minutes, and I promise you're going to walk out that door with a different opinion. These kids are bright. They speak English better than most of us speak English, I'm here to tell you. Their grammar is perfect. They look you right in the eye, and they're inquisitive, and they're beautiful. So, and that's what this is all about. I mean, the big part was to create this situation for the kids to be able to attend and grow and prosper, and then to get the parents to follow. The parents are always going to be the problem. The kids are never the problem.
You got it.
I mean, the kids, they love each other. They're going to play. They don't care what color, what religion you might possibly have, how tall. They don't care. So the point was to create activities in an environment that attracts the children, and then hopefully eventually the parents show up and try to get them on the same page, same sheet of music also. But like Bob's saying, man, you got to show up. I mean, the sky's the limit. If you need something, if we need something, if the kids need something, we'll do everything we possibly can. I mean, to create that program. We're going to have a photography thing going on.
Exceptional.
I saw it for yesterday. I walked in. They're setting it up for tomorrow night, correct?
Yep.
It's incredible. These kids are like up to 16 years of age. We gave them cameras, and they went out and they did their own little thing. And the results are spectacular. That's going to be on display tomorrow night.
They better not be doing talk shows.
That's next. We'll
go
media
next.
next.
My job, Bob.
I know you guys are covering some of the fireside chat tomorrow, but focus for a couple minutes on what Joe's referring to. This photography exhibit is extraordinary. The person who taught our children, and they are children, came to me afterwards and said, "This is the most gifted group of students I've ever had," and she teaches at a college.
Wow. You know, it's like anything else. You take a gem and you polish it up, okay? And I always say that God gave us talents to do things, okay? And in your case, Joe, you've been very blessed, okay? And what you've done is you're sharing your talents. You've been able to come here and lend the talents, and I, you know, what can I say? I mean, you're just a great guy, okay? I mean, I know, and I say that because I live here, and I've seen how these young children are working and integrating, okay, and which is just a great thing, you know. I think it's just you guys, Bob. You know, you're going 24/7 mostly.
Talk to him about it, because these guys are the guys that are really doing all the work.
But I think the most extraordinary thing of all is not what we put in, but what we get out. And that is because of what Joe is referring to. When you see these kids on a day-to-day, a week-to-week basis, and you see the kind of growth that they're experiencing and their confidence levels growing, you're going to hear from the kids in that center. They are going to be some of the most notable graduates that this city has ever seen. I promise you that.
It's amazing when they come in at first, and you just see how they're quiet and how they evolve. You know, I've been there. I haven't been.
That's what the people have to understand. I mean, that's what's not understood. Think about going to live in a different country, not understanding the language, the culture, how to order off a menu in a restaurant, just how to do basically anything with that particular language, and how difficult that is. And furthermore, understand, these people know 2 languages. We know 1 primarily. So that speaks to intellect for me. Just the fact that these kids are able to speak 2 languages perfectly, and be like what Bob said, I don't doubt that at all, that eventually when these kids arrive at that point of being 17, 18, 19 years old, and they graduate from our high school, you're going to be astounded by the notoriety they bring back to Hazleton.
Folks, I'm talking to Joe Maddon, the manager of the Chicago Cubs, and most importantly, a native of the greater Hazleton area and doing wonders, and Bob Curry, who is the founding president of HIP. We'll be back right after this message. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. My guest today, Joe Maddon, Chicago Cubs manager, and Bob Curry, who is the founding president of the HIP Association. Bob, there are a lot of events happening, okay, and I would want the public to know, what are some of the events happening?
Well, for those of us who weren't able to attend the Thursday event or the Wednesday event we have coming up, Friday evening is our big sports banquet. And this year we're very fortunate. We have Manny Ramirez, Eddie Too Tall Jones. We've got a bunch of guys coming that are Jose Cardinal, And Billy Bean is going to be there. So we have these great, great celebrities. It's a wonderful format, and there are still tickets available. That's at Genetti's, and it's one of the largest sports banquet on the East Coast at this point. We have over 600 people, and talk about being embraced by your community. That's Hazleton embracing what we're doing, because they all understand that's support for our project.
Can I just mention something right there? A lot of these people want to come here. These celebrities
Yeah,
want to.
oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a real easy sell. I mean, I talked to Manny. Manny works for the Cubs now a little bit. Manny was easy. Eddie Too Tall Jones, I've gotten to know. What a nice man, big man. I can't even imagine with shoulder pads on. But I mean, Eddie came up very easily. Billy Bean works for the MLB Commissioner's Office on Inclusion, and a big part of what we're attempting to do in our center is the anti-bullying campaign. And Billy is outstanding, speaks eloquently about this. I had Billy in the minor leagues with the Angels in the 1990s in Edmonton, Canada. And then you got Kim Coming Back Jones and Lindsey Berra and this whole group. Kenny Rosenthal, and then Eddie Randall's going to run the whole thing. So, it's fun and it's just a lot of fun. And these people want to be here. I love when people want to be here.
And that's really one of the more unique things about the banquet is the people who, since our first one, and this is our fifth one, we have people who have been here all 5 years. When we're talking about a Kim Jones and we're talking about an Eddie Randall, these people are donating their time to come to Hazleton because they feel it's so important. They do want to come. They do want to be here. And so that's fantastic. That's Friday night. Saturday night, this will be our 5th annual also. Hazleton's Got Talent show at the Alice Wiltsey Center, the old Castle Auditorium, rebuilt, gorgeous, gorgeous performing arts center. And we take the very best of all the kids in Hazleton, and those performances are outstanding.
Hey, can we please get more people to show up? I
come.
It's free. It's a freebie,
it.
man. It's a freebie. Come and see our kids perform. It's what does it see? 1,300 people, maybe.
1,300,
we might have had 400 or 500 people at the most. We've been trying to augment it with maybe a headliner to get folks to come out more readily. But these are your kids, man, and it's a Christmas kind of a motif to the entire evening. And I promise you, some of these kids are going to make you cry because of their talent. It's that good. So it's open. It's wide open. What time we starting?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. I'm telling you, it's free. Show up. The facility is one of the best you're going to find anywhere.
Oh, yes.
I mean, anywhere.
Yeah.
You could do a Broadway
Are you
play.
gonna be there, Joe?
Of course, I'll be
You
there.
gonna sing and
I'm
dance?
not performing. I'm just going to sit there and
you just sit there.
just look pretty with my wife sitting in the corner somewhere.
He's a wonderful dancer, though. I
Yeah.
can tell you that.
I'm sure
He's
he
a
is.
wonderful dancer.
After 3 days.
I saw him
of
on the field a couple times dancing with these umpires.
Yeah,
you know.
that's
What
called.
do you call him out? You know, the second base guy. I mean, he's screaming
called
at this
yelling.
point.
Was that when
Yeah.
he threw all 3 umpires?
Out of the thing, and then they
That's
brought him
called
in.
yelling, yeah.
And he was
Some-
telling him how to
it's
run the
just-
instant replays and the whole bit.
It's necessary sometimes.
Sometimes you fake that, Joe, or does it mean?
Oh yeah. You've done that. Teddy Barrett, who I love, he's an umpire. He's also an ordained minister, and he actually was volunteered to marry my daughter Sarah a couple of years ago. But we were in Colorado a couple of years ago, and this when I first started out in 2007. We were not very good. And so I walked out to Teddy and I said, Teddy, you got to throw me out of this game. He says, Joe, I don't want to throw you. I waited on the mound for him to come out. I says, Teddy, you got to do it. You please do this, Teddy. So I started yelling at him, and then he threw me out. And afterwards, I saw him in the parking lot. We're laughing.
So why do you want him to throw you out of the game?
Well, he just didn't get my guys. I mean, let's go wake up a little bit here. You know,
okay, I see.
You know, there's some truth to that sometimes. To
yeah.
wake your guys up. You got to wake them up sometimes. And I have a great relationship.
That's why
with
you're a
them.
great manager, Joseph.
Well, I mean, you got to wake them up, man, and the umpires know that I'll do that. And I have a great relationship with the Major League umpires. We talk, and they know how much I respect them and their job and how they do it. So there's times that you got to do things that are necessary that appear to be slightly maniacal on the surface, but actually have a purpose.
I don't want to interrupt your theatrical nature here. Right. However, I do have to bring up Sunday afternoon is very important to us, and we'd be remiss if we didn't mention it.
Please.
That is Thanksmas. That's how this all started. Joe wanted to find a way to bring back to the Hazleton community. We have an awful lot of people that are economically disadvantaged, that are just needy families maybe, who may have been on top at one time, but maybe not so much right now. They just need a little help. And so what we wanted to do, this is Joe's idea, 100%, started in Tampa, is bring that Thanksmas concept to the people of Hazleton. Last year, we fed over 500 people in our cafeteria, and it's all really high quality ethnic foods. It's all homemade Italian meatballs, pasta, we have pierogi, and we also now have augmented that with some Dominican jerk chicken, roast pork.
Wow.
I'm telling you, the food is awesome. The people are so thankful, and it's just a wonderful
time is it
feeling.
on Sunday?
That is, we serve between 12 and 3.
12 and 3. Before you leave, Joe, you have a slogan or a word you use. It's called boom.
Poom.
Poom. What does poom mean?
Poom is like a positive affirmation of just anything.
Oh, yeah.
And I've actually taken it to another level
Poom
now.
delicious, poom
it could be
this.
poomfection. As opposed to
Poomfec-
perfection, it's poomfection.
Poomfection.
Yeah, I mean, my guys, every time I text my guys, I'll drop a poom or a poomfection on them, and they're into it now. They come right back at me. I think I got it from Matt Garza. Garza started it a couple years ago. Poom, and it's something to that effect. So if it's something that's really a superlative, just drop a poomfection on them.
There you go. Joe, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks
It's
for having
always,
us, man. Always
it's always a
appreciate it.
pleasure to
Thank
see you.
you,
And
brother.
Bob, of course, you're always coming on. All I could say is keep the good work up. We're very proud of you, Joseph. Anything we can do here at SSP TV, we're always there for you. You know that, Bob.
Thank you,
okay?
brother.
And we'll do whatever we can. It's just such a great positive thing, and we need that in our country today. You're watching the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Remember, HD now, 513, and of course, Channel 13. We'll see you next time.